Today's lesson is going to be modal theory. This is probably one of my favorite theory days. When I first learned it, it probably wasn't my favorite because it was a little bit difficult to get at first, but once I understood it, it became my favorite. And the reason being is because it makes impromptu guitar playing so much easier. It makes it so much easier to find where you're at in the neck and not get lost, and you can just ultimately be more expressive with your instrument if you got these modes down. So even though it might be difficult at first and even frustrating to figure out, I recommend knowing modal theory like the back of your hand. It'll help you tremendously with songwriting and impromptu playing, ultimately being more expressive on your instrument. That's where the fun is in music. So modal theory, we're going to do this in the key of C. Now, one advantage that guitar players have, the big advantage that guitar players have over keyboardists, pianists, pipe organists, keyboardists, is that we only have to learn one fingering pattern here. And when we change keys, any 12 keys, that fingering pattern stays the same. We just move up or down depending on where the key is. Keyboardists, pianists, they have to learn 12 different patterns, 12 different fingerings, because every time they change keys, the patterns change, the fingerings change. And there's 12 notes to the musical alphabet, 12 keys, so they got 12 to learn where we only have one. So that's a big advantage. Enjoy that. All right, we're going to do this in the key of C, and it's the C note. There's octaves where the note just repeats, and the next one, those are all C notes. They're just octaves. Now a scale has, the natural scale has 7 different notes, 7 different tones, and then they repeat. So number 8 is really 1. You just keep going up because of the octaves. So for example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, octave, 8. Octave, 8 is 1, that's the octave. And we can just keep going. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and up until we run out of notes, out of frets. Now the first mode is the Ionian mode, and it's like this. Now whatever the focus note is generally what mode you're playing in. And typically it's the note that you start with and the note that you end with. Not always, but typically, but it's always the note that's being focused on. So the focus note is this one. Now let's say I'm playing the same pattern of notes, the same key of C, but my focus note is going to be this one. Okay, so it's going to be like this. Alright, now my mode has changed. This one happens to be Dorian, which is the second mode of the natural scale. The first mode of the natural scale is Ionian. I played that already. Now for this lesson, I'm just going to go up the guitar neck. I could actually stay in the same place and just focus my note that way, but for educational purposes and first learning this, it's going to be easier to just go up and down the guitar neck and shift. So we're going to shift up to the next note in this scale, which happens to be that one. And now we're going to be playing in Dorian, the second mode of the natural scale, where Ionian is the first mode of the natural scale. Now we're in Dorian, the second mode of the natural scale. And it sounds like this. The next mode is Phrygian. It sounds like this. I threw in some extension notes in there, but you get the idea. That's Phrygian. Now the next mode, which is the fourth mode of the natural scale, is Lydian. fifth mode of the natural scale is Mixolydian. There are some extension notes again, still staying diatonic and true to the mode. Now the next one up is the Aeolian Mode. It also happens to be the relative minor of the major, which is Ionian. But this one is Aeolian, the sixth mode of the natural scale. The next mode, the seventh mode of the natural scale, is Locrian. And the next mode, well, we just did the seventh one, so it would be the eighth one, which is the same as the first one because it's an octave. So that's an octave of this one. Alright, those are octaves. So those are the seven modes, and that's all there are of the natural scale. Now the first one, Ionian, this happens to be major. And if you wanted to play this in chords, it would sound like this. The next one is Dorian, which happens to be minor. Next one was Phrygian, which also happens to be minor. Next one is Lydian, which is major. Mixolydian, major. Aeolian, which is minor, the natural minor, relative to the major Ionian. Now the next one is the odd chord out. This is the Locrian mode, and it's a full diminished. It's neither major or minor. More so resembles minor, but it's diminished. Then it resolves nicely to the next one, the octave, which is major, Ionian. So there you have it, those are the chords. You got Ionian, major, Dorian and Phrygian, which are both minor, Lydian and Mixolydian, which are both major, Aeolian, which is minor, Locrian, which is diminished, the odd chord there, then octave, Ionian again, major. You can also look at this in numbers, a numbers formula, and it's actually easier to comprehend all this stuff when you're thinking about it in numbers. In the beginning, I counted off these notes I was playing for the scale. The first mode, Ionian, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, octave. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, octave. So that's your foundation when numbers are coming into the mix here, when numbers are at play. When you're looking at numbers and formulas with numbers, this is your foundation. If you've got this memorized, and this is really the first thing you should memorize, is this pattern here, the Ionian. You know where the 1 is, the 2, the 3, the 4, the 5, 6, 7. You know where the 7 is in relationship to the 5. You know it, and where the 4 is in relationship to the 1. Or the 2 to the 4. You know where all these notes are. You know the placement of all these notes. Memorize it. Know it like the back of your hand. That way, when I give you a numerical formula, you will know exactly what to do, what fingering to use. For example, the next mode in a natural scale, the second mode in the natural scale, is Dorian. Now, if you're totally unfamiliar with Dorian, I can tell you exactly how to play it if you've got those numbers memorized, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. To play Dorian, you would simply play 1, 2, flat third, 4, 5, 6, flat 7, octave. Now, let's just do this starting with C all over again. So we're going to play C Dorian, which is going to sound like this. 1, 2, flat third. 1, 2, 3 is this, because you memorized 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 in the placements. But because I said flat third, that means instead of playing 3, that third tone, you're going to flatten that by just 1/2 step, or 1 fret, or 1 note. So instead of this, take it down 1 note. That's your flat third. So 1, 2, flat third. Now to continue with this, the 1, 2, flat third, 4, 5, 6, flat 7 octave, that's going to sound like this. 1, 2, flat third, 4, 5, 6, flat 7, octave. Now let's play Dorian relative to the key of C. 1, 2, flat third, 4, 5, 6, flat 7, octave. And we can go right on up the line. The next mode in this natural scale is Phrygian. So this one is going to be 1, flat second, flat third, 4, 5, 5, flat 6, flat 7, octave. And you can go all the way up to the line like that. The most similar one to Ionian, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, is going to be Mixolydian, which is the 5th mode of a natural scale. The only difference in that one is it's got a flat 7, so you're playing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, flat 7, octave. Very similar, just one difference. So let's play the Mixolydian relative to the key of C, and it's going to sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, flat 7, octave. Piece of cake, right? Now one way you can turn this into an exercise that you can actually play with the metronome, because these notes are very odd here, you can play it in triplets. So you're playing 3 notes per click on the metronome. It would be like this. 3 notes per string, so going up is fine, it's just coming back down is a little bit rough. There's a couple ways. First I'll show you the easier way first. First way, you're just going to double pick the top note so that it all works out evenly, 3 notes per string. So here we go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 and 9 and 10 and so up here. I'm just double picking that upper note so it stays even, 3 notes per string. The other way is this way. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and it ends evenly. Now what I'm doing up there is this. Pick this out by ear. I'm going to go slowly. Now it's not 3 notes per string anymore. Well, it is 3 notes per string, but the click isn't always going to come in when you switch strings, so it's going to be a little bit of a brain tease, but this will end evenly with the metronome when you get to the last note. But I'm going to play that top note again, so well actually I'll just play it all the way through one time here so you can listen to it by ear and get a feel for how it goes. Whoops. That's it. Alright, there you have it. So that's some modal theory for you. And it's also some numbers to learn with the modal theory so you comprehend it better. Know this like the back of your hand. And all you have to do, like I said, because we're guitar players and not pianists, you learn just this one pattern of fingerings, and that's all there is for us, just one. If you're a pianist, you'd have to learn 12 different ones, that times 12. So pianists have it 12 times more difficult than we do in this aspect. So I hope you enjoy that. And that concludes today's lesson. I hope you enjoy modal theory. If not yet, then once you understand it, I hope you enjoy it. Let me know if you have any questions. Thanks.